Hello, I'm Diana Swain. Welcome to the National Mobile. These are the day's top stories as of this hour, 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday. UN investigators were shot at today in Damascus as they set out to look for evidence of an alleged chemical weapons attack. They were targeted by snipers as they left their hotel. There were no injuries, but the convoy was delayed. The team is in Damascus to gather evidence and to speak to victims of the suspected attack and to establish if poisonous gas was used. We'll have more on the day's developments coming up shortly. NDP leader Tom Mulcair has kicked off a cross-country tour aimed at abolishing the Senate. Today he delivered a speech on Parliament Hill to spread his party's message that it's time to roll up the red carpet on the upper chamber.
We think that it's the right time for us to be talking about getting rid of the unelected, unaccountable, undemocratic and under investigation Senate. We think the Canadians deserve better. It's a relic of another time.
Mulcair says he'll consult with Canadians and work with the provinces and territories to get the Senate abolished. Senator Harb is resigning in the wake of the Senate expense scandal. Back in May, Harb quit the Liberal caucus after reports said he'd improperly charged thousands of dollars in housing expenses. The Ontario senator has repaid about $51,000 and now says he'll pay back another $180,000. Harb, who's 59, could have served nearly 16 more years in the upper chamber. Quebec Premier Pauline Marois commented publicly for the first time on a proposed ban of religious headwear for public employees. Yesterday, she rejected suggestions the province would be divided by her party's Charter of Quebec values. She insisted it'll have an important and lasting impact on the province. The Parti Québécois has a minority government. It's not clear if it'll get support from opposition parties. It's one of the biggest wildfires in California's history, and authorities warn it could get even bigger. Firefighters are working around the clock to stop what's being called the rim fire from reaching thousands of homes. But strong winds and bone-dry conditions are hampering efforts. The flames were edging closer to a reservoir that supplies drinking water and power to San Francisco. The governor of California has declared a state of emergency. More now in our top story, the high-risk mission for UN investigators in Syria. They're looking for evidence of chemical weapon attacks. Briar Stewart has the details.
In an amateur video posted online, UN inspectors appear to walk through one of the Damascus suburbs. They're collecting samples and are speaking with people who say they're victims of a chemical strike. We went outside to bring in the ambulances, he says. I started to get dizzy and I couldn't see any more and I wanted to throw up. But even before these inspectors arrived, their convoy came under sniper fire. Each side in the civil war was quick to blame the other.
One of the challenges that many people do not understand is that Assad might have lost control over his Shabiha and over his militias. And those guys might be crazy enough, those guys who use chemical weapons might be crazy enough to try and fire on the UN inspectors.
Secretary of State John Kerry issued a scathing statement to the Syrian government, making it clear that the U.S. is convinced that Assad's regime is responsible for using chemical weapons on its own people.
Make no mistake, President Obama believes there must be accountability for those who would use the world's most heinous weapons against the world's most vulnerable people. Nothing today is more serious.
Countries like Britain, France, and Canada are now all part of a discussion about what happens next.
Canada believes the only way to halt the bloodshed in Syria is through a political solution. However, we understand that this solution is becoming more and more difficult as the crisis enters a very dangerous new phase.
As for the inspectors, they plan to go out again tomorrow, but American officials say they already know what they're going to find. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Washington.
And be sure you watch The National tonight. Mumford and Sons are one of today's top bands. Adrian Arsenault caught up with them this past weekend in Simcoe, Ontario for their Gentlemen of the Road tour. And to find out just what makes this tour so special, here's a preview.
Fancy meeting you here. We like what you've done with the place.
Thank you.
So what's great about a relatively small place
like the town of Simcoe, is that not many people have been here. So people will be excited to go and explore a town they've not been to before. And then what we love about touring is seeing how the community works, seeing how every town is different, every has got a different pulse. So it's about sharing that with our fans and fans of music and with the people of the town. Like, this is their opportunity to like this is what Simcoe, this is what Norfolk County's about, you know?
That's 9 o'clock Eastern on the CBC News Network, 10 local time on CBC Television, 10:30 in Newfoundland. And you can keep up with The National online. Our Facebook page is constantly being updated with new features and stories, and you can follow us on Twitter at CBC The National. And that's The National Mobile for this Monday. I'm Diana Swain. Thanks for watching.